Welcome to What I Wished I Knew at 30. And today, my guest on What I Wish I Knew at 30 features one of the toughest, most determined, and most unapologetically fierce players, apparently, to ever pull on the red, white, and black. Steve Bam Bam Baker, St Kilda's legendary hard as nails defender. If you've ever searched for AFL grit stories, St Kilda legend, mental toughness in sport, or how to keep getting back up when life hits hard, this conversation is exactly what you're looking for. Baker wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the fastest, but he was a definition of the most relentless. A footballer who built his entire career on work ethic, discipline, edge, and pure bloody-minded determination. A man who took on the greats, bounced back from every setback, and created a legacy not through talent alone, but through grit, resilience, and absolute commitment to the contest. In this episode, Bam Bam opens up about the toughest lessons the AFL taught him, how he developed a mindset built on resilience, responsibility, and grit, the moments that shaped him on and off the field, what he wishes he knew at 30 about life, identity, and growth, and why true toughness isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, and deeply personal. This is raw, it's real, it's honest, and it's full of the kind of wisdom you can only learn from living a life where you get knocked down and get back up every single time. So if you're looking for inspiration, resilience, and behind the scenes look at one of footy's most determined competitors, you're in the right place. Steve, welcome to What I Wish I Knew at 30. Did I miss anything?
What an introduction. Jeez, you weren't reading that, were you? That seemed very polished.
No, of course not.
That was awesome. No, thanks for having me. I look forward to sharing some stories.
I'm looking forward to it too. So let's get straight into it.
Go.
Steve, you're 30 years old again. Where are you? What are you doing? And what's going through your mind at that stage of life?
30 years old, I would have been still playing for the mighty Saints. I would have been coming into, I think I got forced retired at 31. So at 30, I would have been thinking, I've got 2 or 3 years left at this amazing career, sport, job. Little did I know, just around the corner was a year away. I was getting the flick from footy. So when I was 30, I was still hopeful that I was going to be in the AFL system for another couple of years. But life took a turn at 31. So at 30, I was still very hopeful, ambitious, professional, which was unlike me. So I'd probably say hopeful, I think would be the word when I was 30.
You're still giving Stevie J a bit of a run for his money then?
Yeah, I was still whacking him, but I was getting a bit old for a footy player. Footy players, I think, when they're about 30, 31, they start looking at life after football. But I was still playing some really good footy when I was 30, so I was really hopeful to get another couple of years out of the body. And then, didn't really end up that way. But still knocking a few people around when I was 30 and getting up to mischief.
So did you feel then, it would be fair to say then that you felt that at 30 you had life figured out? Or were you still winging it?
Very much still winging it. So I think life before football, I lived in a little town called Colac. I was working 9 to 5 at a timber mill, and it was very just an overnight thing where I got drafted, and it was a bit of a surprise. So it was a whirlwind for 12 years in football, but I definitely didn't have things worked out. I was starting to think about life after football, what I was going to do. I wasn't in a panic because I still thought I had 2 or 3 years left. So at 30, I thought, I've got time to work it out. But then it ended abruptly when I was 31. And then, life, as I said, life took a turn. At 30, I was still feeling good. 31, not so good.
So what was your biggest, let's stay on 30 for a minute then. So what was your biggest dream at that time?
I think it was just to continue the dream. I was in something where I was loving. I was getting out of bed, playing football, working with my best mates, keeping fit for a living. Yes, it had some hard times compared to dragging yourself out of bed at 6 a.m. and working at a timber mill. No offence to Shelton's Timber in Colac, but that was tough. So whenever footy got tough, I remembered those days of the early mornings and lifting logs all day, every day. Yeah, so to It was supposed to just to keep the dream alive and continue what I was doing. That's what I was thinking at 30. So I wasn't really thinking beyond that. I was just thinking get another couple of years out of football, and yeah, hopefully I'll go back to that grind.
So, I mean, did life take you where you expected?
Oh, I don't know. It's been a roller coaster. Sort of life after footy's been had a lots and ups and downs, which I'm sure we're going to talk about now. But yeah, football wasn't expected. You know, I was a sort of a late bloomer in footy. I didn't start until I was 15. I played basketball, so I was not expecting. It wasn't my dream to play AFL. It was something that sort of fell on my lap just from being relentless, as you said. In my role in the team, I got drafted to be a tagger, which means taking on the other team's best player. So I didn't have much skills. I wasn't the biggest, toughest, but as you said, I tried my best, and that was my role in the team, just to be the team antagonist, I suppose. So yeah, it was definitely not planned, the AFL, and then yeah, life after footy has taken its turns. But I like to think that I pivot in situations and try and find the best thing to do in each situation, which is not always easy.
No, no, I'm sure it wasn't. And why did you why did you become the tagger for St Kilda?
That was just what I was good at. In Geelong Falcons, which is the under-18s competition, I sat on the bench every week. The coach said he was too scared to put me in because my skills were so shitty. So I sat on the bench all year. I nearly quit 5 times. My brother and dad said, no, just stick it out. And then just before the finals in Geelong Falcons, I got a tagging role. And he said, look, this guy's getting 40 possessions a game, which is huge for playing in the AFL. And I stopped this guy, and then I played in the final. I was also all of a sudden playing in the finals in the under-18s, and then we got to the grand final where a lot of the scouts were watching the games. And yeah, just on that day, I think the scout for St Kilda might have been looking at the player that I was playing on, one of the best players in the league, and then I think I had like 14 or 15 tackles or something, and he admittedly said, I just saw this guy with a ponytail and an undercut running around. He kept on getting the ball. I just had one of those games. The ball was bouncing in my hand. So long story short, St Kilda needed a tagger at that time, and that was the role I was doing on that day. And, yeah, all of a sudden I had the St Kilda recruiter talking to my mum and dad thinking, oh, look, this is such a long shot. And but then all of a sudden I'm in the AFL and mixing it with the Robert Harveys and the Stuart Lowe's and all the greats. And even though I wasn't a footy fan, I knew who those guys were. So yeah, it was all unexpected to make the AFL. And yeah, so then my dream was just to stay there as long as I could.
Incredible. And truly, to be to look and take to sort of what you're doing now. And when you think about the resilience that it needed to keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. And do you think sort of that particular day when you go back to those scouts being there, having a real sense of purpose, is that what made you shine? That particular
No, I think just growing up, I was always relentless. Whatever I did, I was always the shortest kid in class. And I do talks now on adversity and resilience. And I tell the story. Growing up, I was always the shortest. I was always battling adversity, and I think that's what made me tough. And when I get knocked down, I get back up again. I think just with the Geelong Falcons, I hate letting my team down. Like to say think I'm a team player. So just that day, all I was thinking about was that day and beating my opponent, not letting the team down, and having beers with the boys after. So I didn't really think too much. Obviously, I wasn't trying to make the AFL. I was just living in the moment, I suppose, at the time. And then all things just the dominoes were set in motion, and then ended up talking to you today, which has been great.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that. So looking back now, sort of what was something that you were completely wrong about at 30?
Probably thinking I was old, and thinking I had to have everything worked out. I'm 45 now. I'm just thinking when I was finishing in the AFL, I think, oh no, I'm so old. What am I going to do? But now it's like I'm thinking, geez, I was silly to think that I was old, and you've still got so much life ahead of you. Even now I'm 45, thinking, geez, I've got, I can start all over again, which I've done a couple of times in the last few years.
Yeah.
I can pivot, you can change direction. I've even written a children's book now, which is something I would have never dreamt about, which you've helped me with. So yeah, it's just the life takes you in many different directions. And I think, just if you always give something 100% effort, you never know what you're capable of or where you're going to end up. But as long as that effort's there, you're not going to look back with regret.
Definitely. And I mean, that is the true definition of resilience, isn't it? It's no matter what life throws at you, that there's always something you can do.
Yeah, 100%. No, there's always something positive, and even going through some bad times in the last couple of years and learning a lot about resilience. And I've, even though I am resilient, I needed times where I look deeper and, what can I do to get out of bed happier? And I've come up with, my grit strategies, gratitude, resilience, inspiration, and teamwork. And, not taking every day for granted, not taking friends, family for granted, and not waiting till you've lost something to appreciate it. So, yeah, it's always trying to take the good, even if the worst situations. I'm sure we're going to talk about it. Losing my footy career, losing my dad, recently losing a best friend in Shane Warne. Um, is learning from those situations. Everyone's going to go through tough patches, and everyone's going to face huge adversities. But it's what you do, and I think life is what you do. 5% what happens to you, 95% is how you respond to those bad situations, and use it for energy and power rather than misery and blame and excuses.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, everything I know, every time I've ever sort of become involved with anything that you're doing, it's done with such passion, such vigor, and so much grit. That's just the only word you could have used for you.
She's on.
Sorry,
She's on.
kidding me? No.
I just saw
Well,
my name, Bam Bam Pico. I didn't think that would be.
seriously? So, Stevie, they say that life is the best teacher, and sometimes the lessons come wrapped in disaster. You mentioned, a few of those things. So let's talk about the biggest curveballs that life has thrown at you. And I think probably in business, obviously your footy career, in your personal life, and what's. I mean, I don't think we can hold you to one experience that felt like the worst thing ever, but ended up shaping you. I think probably you've got a few to share with us.
Yeah, I just mentioned probably the three main ones. Losing footy, that I thought that was the biggest thing, and then it puts things in a perspective when the same year you lose your old man, and then so that lost my footy career, and then my dad sort of the same year. And you think, oh, footy's not that important, but then I went on a sort of downward spiral for maybe a couple of years, drinking every weekend and sort of not dealing with it. I think, especially us men, we bottle things up, don't want to talk about our feelings. So that was years until I sort of got out of that spiral, I suppose. And then recently with my friend passing away, Shane, just reliving those emotions, and I sort of snapped myself out of it quicker because I think look back on what helped me get through losing dad and my footy career, and that was surrounding myself with good people, positive people, keeping fit, just little things, morning routines, showing gratitude every day. And so I think, after footy career and then dad passing, just looking back on lessons I've learned since then in the the years, what's that 13 years ago now. It's gone quickly.
Mhm.
So
It's crazy, isn't it?
it's gone. No, it is crazy quick. So just I think learning from those situations, and now I give talks on resilience and getting people prepared, I suppose, for those bad things. I was sort of not
Yeah.
blindsided, but I was still playing really good footy. I think the year that I got the flick from footy, I was coming second in the best and fairest. I found out after, but when I got told I was getting the arse, I was coming second in best and fairest. So I thought I had another 2 or 3 years left in me, and then all of a sudden, no footy career, and then losing the old man. So it was all hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. What was the actual hardest parts about those experiences, and how did you push through?
I think it was just the being on the ultimate high, like playing AFL in front of 100,000 people, having a mum and dad in the stands, and then all of a sudden you're playing at Craigieburn when it's piss and rain. Not that no Craigieburn, but they were great guys. We didn't win a game. We didn't win one game all year, and it just you weren't surrounded by people that were chasing the dream of an AFL grand final. So I think it was just the ultimate high, and then you've lost your career, you've lost your dad, and then it's sort of the ultimate high to the ultimate low, and that was similar to
Yeah.
Shane over 3 years ago now. It was my life couldn't have got any better. I was traveling everywhere. We were going on golf trips, bigger trips, and hanging out all the time. We'd had 3 holidays planned that year. I'd said, this is the most exciting year I've had since my dad passed. This was a week before he died. So that was the same. It was like had the ultimate high, the ultimate lifestyle, and waking up every day excited to like shit, now my best mate's gone. So it was getting through that. Now that took me months, 9 months to get over. Not get over, but just sort of think, shit, I've got to snap myself out of this. And I was in sort of a not blame excuses, not wanting to get out of bed. To I've got to turn my life around here. And looking back on what got me through dad and losing footy was good people, fitness, gratitude, and all things like that. So yeah,
Yeah, and having the strength to do it.
yeah.
Yeah. If you could go back now and whisper advice to yourself in those moments, because, let's face it, everyone goes through these moments and not everybody does have the resilience to bounce back from it. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to really be able to get over the kind of, those kind of life changing events. And, if you could go back and whisper advice to yourself in those moments, what would you say now?
Well, I think looking back when I lost my footy career, it was, I think it's hard to sort of go back at the time, but like I was thinking, it took me years to say, put my hand up and say that I was struggling, not bottling things in. So I could whisper something to myself and just say, look, ask for help. Cause I know when dad passed and lost my footy career, I was in a bad mental state, and so was my sister, and we were having parties every weekend, and getting on drugs, and not sleeping for 2 days, and we're just sort of masking the pain, I suppose. So probably face your fears, and sometimes for a guy, the fear is saying that you're struggling, and that was the first thing with Shane. After 9 months of sort of blame, excuses, poor me, I thought, hang on, this happens to everyone. Snap out of it, and start living your life the way your dad would want, Shane would want, and that's not sitting on the couch all day and taking painkillers or drinking and masking the pain. Are you struggling? Ask for help, which I did again with my friend Maddie, and we went for a run. I hadn't ran in like 2 or 3 years. I had a hip replacement. So yeah, that's probably the main message. Just if you're struggling, ask for help. And that was probably the one. In both situations, that's one thing that I ended up doing, asking for help. And
Yeah.
once you've got supportive people around you and people know you're struggling, life becomes easier.
Yeah. And, how did that challenge or how did those challenges change the way that you approach your success today?
Well, I suppose just looking back, every adversity will make you stronger. I suppose just learning the lessons that everyone's going to go through ups and downs, and doing a lot of talks on mental health now. I go to footy clubs and corporates, every other week, and sort of know that everyone's battling their own demons, and 100% of us are going to go through a tough time if we already haven't. I suppose, the lesson learnt is, it's not all just about us; it's about our other people, and everyone's going to go through the same thing eventually.
I love that. And it's true, isn't it? And you never know when those curveballs are going to be thrown at you, and having the skills and life skills to actually deal with them. I mean, we get to the heart of this episode. If you could give your 30-year-old self just three pieces of advice, and I know we've talked about some things, but if you could give three pieces of advice, what would they be?
3 pieces, geez, one's even harder, huh?
Yes, three. Come on,
Snap.
you talk on this all the time.
So I'm giving my 30-year self advice. Is that what
Yeah,
was the question?
yeah.
Maybe hard times are hard times are coming. Be prepared. Never give up, which is something I'll never do. So, I was close a couple of times. I remember after Shane, I was in a real dark spot. One time driving, I'm thinking, geez, I don't care if a truck hits me. I suppose, never give up is my sort of motto with through my life. 100% effort, never give up. Which is what I probably did in the end. But yeah, probably the advice was, if you're ever struggling, ask for help.
I think that's really sage advice.
Through, yeah, nearly 3.
That's all right. We'll let you off
Oh,
there.
thank you.
It's Look, I think you're absolutely right though. I mean, the amount of help that there is out there now for mental health, and also the awareness that I think everybody now that awareness is growing. That sometimes people, we're pretty good at being chameleons, and you can put on a brave face, and then the next thing you know, that person's gone. And that I think is the most valuable piece of advice is that you just don't know. I mean, you look at the programs like Are You Okay? No, they're so powerful. But do you think, that young professionals and entrepreneurs today, do you think they're struggling with the same things that we did? We use the royal we. I'm a little bit older than you. Or do you think they're facing a completely different world now?
No, I think it's all similar. Like if someone's feeling like shit and they're down, they're depressed. Like I don't think it matters where you are in life, how old, how young. We all feel those. If you all feel those demons, I know I did a talk in Tassie not so long ago, and there was a lady, and she was the most bubbly person in the world, and I thought, oh, she's happy. It turned out at the end of my talk, she got up in front of the group and said that she was suffering from depression. She wanted to share it and told everyone that she was on depression medication, and everyone gave her a round of applause. But she'd never asked for help. So she messaged me straight. So thanks for you opening up, allowed me to open up. So I think everyone's doesn't matter how big your problems are. Like I lost a best mate and was thinking about ending it. But someone could have a tiny problem, but think about ending it. So I don't think it's sort of it's a hard one to sort of put in one box on people the ages. I think if you've got problems and you're depressed or you got demons, it doesn't matter what they are. Everyone's problems is everyone's problems, and you can't sort of really get yourself in their situation. But yeah, I think me speaking out, it's just if anyone's struggling, I try and inspire people to say it's okay. Being a tough footy player, it was tough for me to speak up and say that I was struggling. So I know, there's been many times where people say, "Oh, thanks for sharing your story. I'm going to put my hand up and say that I'm struggling." And I had a good friend of mine that said he was suicidal after going to one of my talks. I had no idea. So I think just spreading the awareness and realizing that everyone's going through their own shit, I suppose, is the message I'm trying to portray.
I love that. And also, the talking to youngsters, so allowing them to give themselves permission to actually ask for help. And, just tell us a little bit about the work you're doing with the Build Grit program.
Yeah, so I teach kids effort beats talent. So I think a lot of kids these days get babied through. It's not like when we were young where you'd only get a medal for first place. I think kids they all get medal education awards these days. So I'm not going to say all kids are soft. I don't have kids, but I've just seen it in schooling, some of the stuff that's happening. I don't want to go into all the politics, but so I think kids do need a little bit of a kick up the bum and get a little bit of resilience. I go in and do a clinic, and there's kids sitting in the corner. No, I don't want to do this, and the teacher's like, "Are you okay?" So no, get them up. They're doing it, and sort of. I think kids need a little bit of a push. They're getting babied through, and it's okay to not try, not give effort. So my main message is, if you don't give 100% effort, you don't know where you're going to end up. I showed my report card when I was in primary school, and effort was all 100%, but I was an average student. I said, but I don't care because I gave it 100% effort. I'm not going to be good at everything, but my 100% effort led me to playing basketball, to football, to AFL. Now I'm giving talks. I've written a book. So if you give 100% effort, you can always pivot to something. As long as you give it your best, it's going to end up in the best case scenario for you.
Totally. Would you say that that was your Say again?
No, I said I rambled on a bit there, didn't I? Am I answering the question?
Not at all. Not at all. I was going to say to you, what's a mindset shift that changed your approach to success? But I think you probably answered that in, always give 100% effort.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think just growing up, I had an older brother that was always bigger and tougher, and I was always competitive. He'd never let me win. I think I've sort of put that down to my little sister. I'd never let her win, so she's we've all grown up sort of tough, I suppose, and used to adversity. So I think that's the only way you can instill resilience is face adversity. So I think if kids grow up and they're babied through everything, and their parents solve every problem for them and don't let them figure it out themselves, I think that sort of just creates not weak minds, but just sort of softer people. I think people need a bit more hardness, and they need to go through some adversity. They need to challenge themselves physically and mentally rather than get babied through life and get everything handed to them on a silver platter. Is that a bit harsh?
And unfortunately, no, no, not at all. I think, no, I think there is, a definite leaning towards that from, sort of from when I was brought up. I mean, my mother's mantra was there's no such word as can't, was killed by won't. Now go and work it out. It was never, yeah, it was commitment was 100% or, that was that was the way it was. It wasn't you didn't start something and then not do it because you didn't feel like it.
That's right.
You know, it was, yeah, the expectation. I think that's possibly the word is the expectation from parents was a lot more, and you were expected to fulfill that expectation for whatever it was. And I no, I think that's definitely true, and I think that's changed. I think there's a very different approach to raising kids today. I don't know rightly or wrongly. I mean, we grew up kind of at the end of the Victorian age where it was a bit more, it was harsh, but we have resilient mindsets and we definitely have a growth mindset which says, how can I do, how can we do that? How can we do this? Or how can we actually, we were critical thinkers. And I think that is possibly something that is being lost.
100%. I agree. I
Who
agree.
knows? So, Stevie, what's the best advice you ever received and who gave it to you?
Probably never give up. I think was from my dad back when I was going to quit the Falcons. No, see if you start. I remember him saying if you start something, you got to see it through. And that was like 2 weeks before I got
Yeah.
a big break and got the role in the tagging and got on the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think if you start something, see it through from the old man.
Amazing. And who was your coach at that time that actually kind of saw that, that grit in you, that if he was going to put you out there, you weren't going to give up because you've been given a job?
Yeah, it was Brian Cordy, and I remember there was Mick Turner, but we laughed about it years later. They said that you weren't in the team and you only got in the team because we had a practice match, and I had like a lot of tackles, and the coach said, "I want this little guy in," and Mick Turner, who was the big manager, he goes, "I don't want him in. He's got no skills," and then ended up obviously playing the 200 games, and Mick's, "All right, you've got me." He's sadly passed away in the last year or two. But yeah, Brian Cordy gave me the chance, and yeah, got on that ground that day and said, "Can you stop this guy?" And I said, "Yep." And I remember him saying, "I'll give you the game ball if you beat this kid." My brother and I were kicking around this old footy, and I think I can get my brother a new footy. And so I remember thinking, I'm never going to let this kid beat me. I think I broke his nose and give him a lot of punches behind the play. He was averaging 40 touches. I think he had about 4. Yeah, it was just putting yourself in the right place at the right time, and never giving up.
Never giving up. It comes back to that mantra, doesn't it? So, so we talked about the best advice, but what was the worst advice that you ever got?
Maybe
Business, all right.
Maybe it's too risky. Don't do that. Like I've started a few businesses over the years, and I won't say who told me this advice, but yeah, it's too risky. Just do something that's what's the word, safe, business wise. So yeah, it's too risky. And I heard Jim Rohn. He's like a big speaker. He said, "Oh, it's too risky.
Yeah, no,
Everything's too risky." And I heard that years later after I heard this advice. But yeah, I think taking risks, I think, keeps you alive and keeps you up and about. If you're not doing something that scares you every month at least, I think you need to start looking at it.
I love that. So we're looking now at a few quick fire questions.
Ooh.
Okay, you ready? Ooh, ready? You'll be good at this. You'll be good at
All
this.
right, what do we got?
We're not going to punch on, but we're definitely going to.
Quick fire.
So if you could, okay, ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
You were born ready, weren't you?
Yeah.
If you could have lunch with any historical figure, who would it be?
Historical. How long is it? How long is historical? Is that
It can be whenever. It could be,
Steve Irwin?
okay, cool.
Yeah, I was just watching some of
Don't
his.
go paddling with him in the shallows.
Well, I don't know. I think that was I think that was
Because
a cover up.
he's,
I reckon they got rid of him because he was taking over the world and he was going to buy. I reckon the powers that be took him out. That's my opinion.
is that right?
Yeah, we won't go into my politics on this call, but hey, this is meant to be quick fire. What's
That's
this?
okay.
Yeah,
Quick right, okay. So Steve Irwin is you'd have lunch with Stevie Irwin.
yeah. I've
Perfect.
just been watching a lot of his
What's a
stuff,
guilty pleasure you refuse?
so it was a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
But my guilty pleasure is,
And Robert's doing pretty well.
yeah, Robert. He's killing it. I didn't know he was on Dancing with the Stars in the US. I thought that was Australian, but yeah, he's massive over there now. My guilty pleasure is
Wow.
probably binge watching movies. I'll pick a day and I'm just gonna have a movie day and just take a day off midweek. So that's a guilty pleasure of mine. Turn my phone off, stress free. I'm a horror movie fan, so that's probably my pleasure. Just having a day off and laying in bed, grabbing some grain waves and just kicking back.
Beautiful. And you need that. A rest day is a really, really important thing for any entrepreneur when you're out there grinding away. It's so important. Okay. If your 30-year-old self had a theme song, what would it be?
Geez, I don't know the name of it, but it's one I play every talk I do, and that's that one that's I get knocked down, but I get up again. I got some highlights of me playing. I'm getting knocked down. I've got blood pissing out of my eye, and always bandages on my head. So I think that's my mantra: is if you get knocked down, get back up. It's not what happens to you; it's how you respond.
Absolutely. I love that. And I would love to see some of those clips, and we'll add it onto the podcast shorts. So, Steve, what's one thing you absolutely sucked at in your 30s, but you reckon you've mastered it now?
Probably public speaking. See, I'm still bloody fumbling, but that's something I still hate. And I'm petrified of it, but it's literally one of my jobs now. So probably, yeah, I never wanted to get in front of the footy group. I remember Ross Lyon, Grant, all my coaches wanted me to talk and be a leader in the back line, but I just never wanted to do it, petrified of it. So yeah, to now be speaking in front of hundreds of people at some events, and it's just something that I've worked on. I haven't mastered it. I don't think you really master it. Oh, you probably can. Jim Rohn was a master, but what is it? Every master was once a disaster. So when I was 30, I was a disaster.
That's right.
I reckon I'm going all right. I reckon I'm going all right now. So that's probably one thing.
I reckon you are too. If people in the audience stand up and thank you for giving them the opportunity to open up themselves, then I think you're doing a wonderful job.
That's how we met,
And,
wasn't
you
it?
know,
All
that,
the talk. That's how we met, wasn't
say
it?
again?
I think we met at
We did. We did indeed. Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah. So, Steve, that was brilliant. I know that so many listeners are going to resonate with your story. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap. What's the single biggest takeaway that you would like people to remember from our conversation?
just think we're all going to face adversity. Just make sure you're ready for it, and effort beats talent. So if you're a young listener, effort beats talent. If you're an older listener, there's more adversity coming. But yeah, I think that's one. I get knocked down, I get back up again. That's how you respond to situations. So I think that sort of sums up the call.
Beautiful. Just tell us before we do go, just tell us what you're working on at the moment.
Well, there's a few there's a few things. Obviously, the grit, but
Always.
also there's a new travel club that's entering Australia, which I know you're using, and you're getting some amazing discounts. So,
I am. I'm loving it, Steve.
yeah,
Loving it.
that's I love working in a team. I think it's what I miss about footy. And working in an online business, we've got a great team, and our private Facebook group, and all sharing deals and everything like that. So that's one thing. The book I still haven't finished, which you've been helping me with, and that's about bullying. With the bull shark. I won't go into too much details and give it away, but that's something. Yeah, so everything, like I've started a lot of things, and I'm working on a subscription model for grit. So because I love traveling, and that's something that I'm passionate about. In 2026, traveling more. So I want to have grit, some online stuff with grit that I can do while I'm on the road, but I can still get into schools and things. What else am I doing? There's fingers in a few pies, but they're the main things. Maybe the travel club and the build grit are my two main sort of focuses at the moment.
Amazing. So have you set up your goals and your business plan for the next 12 months, the next 3 years? Is that something you're working on?
Yeah. No, I don't plan. I don't plan too far ahead. I take it one week at a time. Yeah, my diaries should be used more, but I just go where I'm more passionate. And at the moment, it's this new travel club. I'm flying to Queensland in the morning. I'm going to do a live event up there for 30 or 40 people. So mixing in the public speaking. So that's what I'm loving at the moment. The fact that the team's loving it, and we're all planning trips together and travel. I'm going to travel more. So that's where I'm putting my energy at the moment. So whatever lights me up, whatever I get out of bed and think what pops into my head, that's what I'm putting more energy at the moment. At the moment, it's the travel club.
I love that. I love that. And I know when you put your mind to something, you're just not going to give up. You're just going to keep going, and you're going to keep inspiring people and leading that team. And I love that. And for everyone listening, here's my challenge to you. Take one thing from today's episode and apply it to your life this week. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who can mentor you. Maybe it's finally taking that leap that you've been scared of. Whatever it is, Stevie, take action. And if this episode inspired you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs to hear it. And if you have a question or a topic you want me to cover in a future episode, send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in to What I Wish I Knew at 30. And remember, your best chapters are still ahead. See you next time. And it's goodbye from me and from my guest, Stephen Bam Bam Baker. Thank you so much for joining me, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
Quite good to see you.
You too.
Absolutely. And look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Sounds good. And cut.